They're about maturing. And it's so pathetic and sad and disgraceful to the How to Train Your Dragon franchise as a whole to see that most of you so-called fans have yet to do the bare minimum of that. Dragons: The Nine Realms. A show that takes place 1300 years after the events of How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. A show that has been getting way too much hate recently for no good reason. Like, obviously the show is not great. It's not perfect by any means whatsoever, but it's not a horrible, god-awful show. I can't go to my For You page without seeing something that's just downright disgustingly hateful towards this show. Like, I have some of my own, though I love the show, I do have some of my own dislikes towards it. Like, say for example, there was a moment in one of the episodes where the love interest for the main character, June, I think her name is, she gets taken to the hidden world by Tom, and she's surprised. She exclaims how surprised she is at how friendly the dragons are, and Tom says, "I guess you can't believe everything you read." But then when she goes to train her own dragon, she then attempts to use everything she's read, which I found idiotic and stupid and kind of pointless of the previous lines. Then, in that same episode, which was the cringiest moment I think I've in the show altogether, it was so horrible. While she was in her cave with that dragon, she was like, "Oh, if you shoot down here, if you blast open the thing, it'll crush us both." She steps into the light, holds out her arms, looks up, and goes,
"I have to train this dragon."
Yo, what? In my reaction, I was like, what? Okay. I was like, alright. I just think they put that in there as like a moment where they was just like, they're gonna have us, where they thought the fans were gonna go like, "Oh, she said that thing. No, it's not. They were just, most of us probably looked at that like, what? Anyway, there was another moment that I disliked that was really dumb to me. I dislike how D'Angelo freaking immediately tried to tell his parents, even after he was like, "Yeah, okay, fine, I won't tell," and then immediately told them afterwards, though they didn't believe him. I would have, even though, like, despite the fact that his parents still didn't believe him anyway, and just thought they were just playing and imagining things, I still would have jawed D'Angelo right then and there. I would have socked him in his jaw in the moment, as soon as after he was done saying that. "Mickey, what are you doing?" That junk aggravated me. In my reaction video, which still is not up yet, none of the only reaction video that's up is number 1, but in my reaction video, that ending left me. It was at the end of the episode. That ending left me so speechless that it left me so mad that I was speechless, and I just was like, I have nothing to say for the end of this episode. Let's just go to the next one. And I ended the recording. Oh yeah, the other thing that I hate that they tried to recreate the forbidden friendship scene. I hated that. It was very bad. It was one of the first clips that they put up on the on YouTube. It was a clip they put up on YouTube. I watched it. It was very not good. Very not good. But despite that, there's also some things I really loved about the show. Like, for example, the way they switched up the How to Train Your Dragon like main theme, like the test drive theme. It was beautiful, and I love some of the visuals and the scene that it was used in. The scene that it was used in was when June finally took her first flight on the back of Thunder with Tom. So, and the visuals for that were very great. They were amazing, and as well as the visuals for the last episode when they were saying goodbye to the dragons to send them off into the to the chasm, just in case the cave, caved in where they were keeping them at. And speaking of which, that scene where they were saying goodbye to those dragons, it made me cry. It really did. It got me. It's in my reaction video. It made me cry. Like, for the last couple of episodes, they sprinkled in a little of what we know with something new. Say, for example, one example that I really loved was how they dropped that Easter egg in with when when Thunder and Tom came back up after falling into the chasm with that evil dragon, or with the, not the evil dragon, but with that the Fault Ripper. When Tom and Thunder fell in with the Fault Ripper dragon and then came back up, and June punched Tom in the arm and said, "That's for scaring me." And he said, "Well, what about everything else?" That I thought was funny. I thought that was pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Sure, most might see it as a bait to be like, as a bait that I fell for. However, I believe it was done rather well and I enjoyed it. Now, with that being said, those are just some of the things I really loved about the show so far. I have yet to see season 2, even though it came out weeks ago, but I just been kind of postponing because I wanted to put this video out, because people have been unnecessarily hating on the show for no reason. And as a matter of fact, I think I know what their terrible reasoning is. It's because it's not How to Train Your Dragon. Well, here's my message to all of those people. You're right. It's not How to Train Your Dragon. And you want to know what else? It will never be How to Train Your Dragon. It will never be How to Train Your Dragon. At all. Get over it. Suck it up. And grow up. And speaking of grow up, it's so sad. Like, it's a real shame that people say they grew up with these movies, yet they have not done any growing up whatsoever. It's sad. People constantly say, "Why don't they just let this franchise sleep?" It's like, you're the only ones not letting the franchise sleep, and here's why. Because every single time you try to bring up or compare the 9 Realms to How to Train Your Dragon, you're not letting How to Train Your Dragon rest, because you're constantly trying to bring it up. You're constantly trying to compare it to this. It's like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra. The 9 Realms is Korra. How to Train Your Dragon is The Last Airbender. Compared to The Last Airbender, Korra is trash. Compared to How to Train Your Dragon, the 9 Realms is dookie. However, on their own, disregard Korra's connection to Aang. Disregard the 9 Realms connection to dragons. To How to Train Your Dragon. Disregard those two connections. On their own, they stand up on their own as decent to good shows. The 9 Realms is a good show. It's not bad. You're upset that it's not How to Train Your Dragon. It's not Hiccup. It's not Toothless. Look what they did to the Night Fury. There are no more Night Furies. That was established at the end. That was established in the last movie. If any of you idiots even watched it, it was established at the end. Or not that at the end, but it was established in the movie that there were no more Night Furies. Toothless was the only one, and he had no Night Fury children. He only had Nightlights, which were the only ones breeding after he died. That was it. Toothless is gone. That means the Night Furies are gone. There are no more Night Furies. It's okay. It's okay. Let it go. And it's so sad and it's so pathetic that this has to be said, because it doesn't make any sense. People like to say how they grew up with these movies and everything, but I doubt that. I really doubt that you did, because I would be very careful in your use of the word fan for yourself, because from my experience, no fan would hate this show that much. I compared, like, in one of my previous videos about the How to Train Your Dragon community, I said I compared them to the Five Nights at Freddy's community, but I said that the Five Nights at Freddy's community was far better than ours, or than this community. And the reason I say that is because FNAF World, I can compare the hate for the 9 Realms from the Dragons community to the hate for FNAF World from the FNAF community. But the difference between those two is that at least the FNAF community played FNAF World first. I said that they at least played FNAF World first before they decided to hate it. They played the dang thing first. Most of these people who are saying the show was bad haven't even watched it. They haven't. And it's crazy to me. It genuinely is just so crazy to me. These are the same people who say they grew up on these movies. But guess what? You know what these movies were all about? They're about maturing, growing. They were growing up, maturing, and letting go. That's what the movies were all about. Maturation. They're about maturing. And it's so pathetic and sad and disgraceful to the How to Train Your Dragon franchise as a whole to see that most of you so-called fans have yet to do the bare minimum of that. Most of you haven't even grown up past 12 when these movies first came out in 2010, or 10 years old, or however old you were when the movie came out. It's ridiculous, and it makes no sense that so many people are just hating on this show because it's not How to Train Your Dragon. Grow up like the movie suggested, like the movies taught us to do, and let go of Hiccup and the gang and Toothless, because they're dead now. They're dead now. They're literally dead now. That's it. I love them. I love all those characters. But guess what? I got something new. And I appreciate what I have. And not only that, I went into it with an open mind. Yeah, sure. Everything about the Nine Realms isn't great. There's a lot of things that are wrong with it. Compared to How to Train Your Dragon, sure, it's garbage. But on its own, it's good. And it works. I'm not a stan as much as I am an actual fan. That's what I am. I'm a real fan. Like I said in the last freaking video I made about the community, I said I watched Rescue Riders. I watched it. I watched Rescue Riders. It wasn't for me. I watched at the very least. I put myself through 6 episodes of the dang thing, and I said, you know what? It's not my type of show. It's okay if you want to watch it, but it's just not my type of show. And then I left it at that. Why? Because, believe it or not, it's not my job to tell people what is and is not worth watching. It's not my responsibility. That's why I say, if something is not for you, just say it's not for you, but check it out anyway. That's what you do. Personally, Rescue Riders isn't for me, but would I ever tell you to not look at it yourself? No. Who am I to tell you what is and is not worth watching? The original trilogy. The trilogy is resting soundly, knowing that it stamped its place as one of the greatest franchises of all time. But now, or one of the greatest trilogies of all time. But now, people are going up in arms about it just not being what they want it to be. Boo-hoo. All I say is give the show a chance. All I say is give the show a chance. Because, in my personal opinion, it's worth watching. But that's for you to decide. If it's not for you, then it's not for you. But it's not trash. Again, I'm no stan for this show. I love the show. Of course, there are many things that are wrong with it. However, it's not bad. I'm no stan. I'm just a fan of How to Train Your Dragon. You know, a real fan.